The Strait of Hormuz is a choke point of the US economy. And so the Iranians basically told the president of the United States, you have two choices. You can choose Israel or you can choose the American economy. Those are your choices. Choose wisely, because we are not fucking around. Our conditions include the fighting stops in southern Lebanon, point blank. And the president has to release their money. And the president made the decision, it would appear, that he actually chose America over Israel. And here's what he had to say regarding Israel's control over our country.
Frustrated with Netanyahu, sir?
No, we had a great relationship. We're talking about some end details. I didn't like that he did an attack based on there was a very minor little thing with some drones that were released, and he ends up doing I saw that attack. I saw where that bomb went. Did you see what happened? That was a vicious, that was too much. You can do too much also. But we've had a very effective relationship. Without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me.
That's true. I mean, now he's, that's at least a fact.
Takes balls to make that statement. Like, it really does. And this is the thing about him. He is you could call him a chameleon, but you know what he is, honestly? He's a survivor. He just knows how to survive. He's been doing it
like a cockroach.
Like a cockroach, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And eventually, Israel was good for business. I told you this a long time ago. I told this to Jen. I tell this to anybody. Israelis are tolerated. They are not embraced. And the primary
where are they tolerated? And let me tell you, that's waning. That tolerance is getting very, very, very tenuous.
Well, like I said, the reason why the Israelis are tolerated is because it's all about economics. The Israelis are tied in a huge way in the banking system here and abroad, among other, real estate.
Who are they tolerated by? People in the chat, do you tolerate Israelis? Because I don't think so.
I don't think too many people in the chat are talking at the economic level that I'm talking at. I'm talking about people that actually affect economic change around the world. And so for a while, they have been considered a necessity, even if it is to the detriment of how people feel about them. Now, they are becoming a burden that is a weight on our shoulders that the powers that be don't necessarily want anymore. And I'm going to show you why in a second. But your thoughts as far as, do you see that as being the driving factor here, that Israel has become a liability for the United States?
I have thought that for quite some time. Hearing President Trump say it is finally, I watched this, his remarks at the G7 when he made these remarks, and then the replays afterwards to make sure I hadn't dreamed it. But in what he's saying there is exactly what the president of the United States should be saying. And when I look at the greater strategic context of this, I look at this, and I think in history this will be seen to where Iran's resistance and Iran not capitulating and continue to stand up in the face of a superpower and their little colonial brother Israel, in that this is if the United States sticks to this and maintains the conditions of this agreement, and in doing so takes the side of Americans over Israel, and puts America first in their commitment to this MOU going into what will be a long-term agreement that should be respected and determined by both sides, not Israel. This could be possibly one of the best things that could happen to the United States in stopping us from going down the road of when Rome faced the Byzantine Empire in the east, or the Germanic orders in the west, and the fall of Rome, because they just wouldn't stop. And this right here is an example of the United States, under our own proclivity, we were not going to leave Iraq and Syria and the Middle East bases that we've had. We're going to continue to spin it as it's part of our national security. We need to be there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now it's been put on the table that no, leave the Middle East and respect the sovereignty of our nation. Point number 2 on the 14 points. And I think it's probably the most prolific and poetic piece of this entire 14-point document. But point number 2, the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran undertake to respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity and to refrain from interfering in each other's internal affairs. The founding fathers could not have written it better themselves. And taking that, I would like to take that, remove the verbiage specifically to Iran and just say the United States isn't going to F around in sovereign countries anymore and respect their territorial integrity, period. Carve that in stone, give it to Donald Trump, and make sure he hands that off to the next president, along with the JFK files and the Epstein files and everything else that they hand off between presidents, and make sure that that is a reminder in history. Carve it onto the Resolute desk that we should not be interfering in the affairs of sovereign countries, and we should respect their territorial integrity, and we should stop being an empire of colonial power. And this should be a lesson. And if we can stick to this, the United States can remain an influential, powerful nation in this world of multipolarity. Should we choose to go down the path of destruction with Israel as our bedfellow? Well, we're going to lose. So I hope that this is the lesson that America is needed in the 21st century to maintain being a power, not the superpower, not the hegemon, but a power. Imagine normalizing relations with Iran, and the only reason we haven't is because of Israel. But can you imagine if the United States has normalized relations in trade and economy and oil and helium and rare earth minerals and trade with Iran? Oh my God! Wow. So I really hope this goes down as a wake-up call, a slap in the face to America that this is the path that we should be on. And is it a loss? It's a loss because we started a war that we couldn't win. But in the big picture, it could actually be the best thing for us, a good dose of medicine that our losses in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and Vietnam and et cetera haven't taught us yet. Maybe this will be it.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, here is why this is a very interesting turn of events. And as much as I cringe at listening to her voice.
Who are you? What are you subjecting me to now?
The queen herself made a statement at the 92nd Y, which is very interesting. Now, we're going to need your take on this because there's definitely there's a couple of layers here. But the fact that Hillary is even making this statement, to me, says that there are much bigger things at play in the State Department as far as understanding that there is no future with maintaining this relationship with Israel, because if there was, there would be no excuse for her to make this statement. But maybe there is one line that should be focused on. So
although, guys, seriously.
Well, you're absolutely right. When I was secretary, it was a constant theme by Netanyahu and his then government, the then defense minister, Ehud Barak, the former prime minister. It was relentless. It was a constant push. I remember...
what would he say to you?
What?
What would he say to you?
He would basically say, you need to support us in attacking Iran. And back then, this was, 2009 to the end of 2012, we had more capacity than Israel did on several fronts to do that. And so there was a constant argument that we would have. And I remember one day I was on the phone for hours with Ehud, with Bibi, with others, and they would say things like, our planes are on the tarmac. And I'd say, well, good luck. I mean, great. Why are you doing this?
Where else would planes be other than in the air?
But on the tarmac, ready to take off. Okay. Yes. Well, no, they'd be in the hangar, but they were on the tarmac. And you would say things.
You're saying you were being played
all the time, all the time. I mean,
by an ally that receives an enormous amount of aid.
Well, of course. And look, Bibi's been obsessed.
There are two thoughts here. The first thought is they are going to martyr Netanyahu, like he's going to probably get executed. That's one thought. Another thought is, how do you hold this back for so many years? Like, how do you keep silent on this? How many innocent lives, Hillary Clinton? How much blood? How much Palestinian children's blood is on your hands? Because if she knew this, Lord knows she knew a hell of a lot more. And this just seems, in some respects, on the one hand, the tenable position of the Netanyahu government is no longer feasible. And then on the other hand, she is still telling on herself for the despicable war criminal that she is. But in all of that, I also see a line where if things were not as bad diplomatically, economically, socially, politically as they are with Israel at this point, there's no way that somebody like Hillary Clinton would be making this statement. She's making it because I think things are really bad, like worse than we could even contemplate right now. What do you think?
What we are seeing in real time is the manifestation of what Cicero wrote about many years ago, that there is no honor among thieves. The refrigerator has been pulled out from the wall. The cockroaches are running. The light is on. And they're going to leave Netanyahu in that sticky roach trap that's behind the fridge that all the crumbs stick to. And you're like, ew, what's this? Right? That's what's happening right now. The roaches are running. The refrigerator is moved. The light is on. And amongst these thieves, amongst these evil, horrible hypocrites, there is no honor. And when the business deals run dry and the leverage runs out and the manipulation is no longer present, there is no honor amongst them. There's no commit. This isn't about the love of Israel or Netanyahu is such a great leader. This is none of that. What we're now seeing is that the gig is up and they're jumping ship like rats. And what I would say, you're going to see the Hillary Clintons and now Donald Trump, the J.D. Vances, Marco Rubio's little. If anybody saw the remarks that Donald Trump gave at the G7 summit, behind him to his left shoulder was Marco Rubio. The look on his face looked like somebody told him that he can't have Cuba. Just the look on his face, like he ate good. What, right? And I'm just looking at that. I'm like,
pathetic little Marco, and your.
I mean, literally, boo boo lip could catch rainwater, pissed off, wouldn't even make eye contact with the camera, looking away in that way of like he's embarrassed by his dad, but he's embarrassed by his dad because his dad has like violated an existential tenet of their family, which is, don't tell on yourself. So when you look at all these things, more and more people are going to start to jump ship. More and more people are going to start to be like, Massey was right or MJT was right. And here's what I'll remind America as we go forward in this great experiment of representative democracy is that, remember, you've had Americans like me and Josephine Guilbeault and Peter and Jen. You've had Americans that aren't taking money from Israel, that aren't making millions of dollars on this, that have been saying this for years now.
Yes.
So now that the mask is coming off of this charade and we're seeing everybody selling each other out, we're finally going to get everything about Pizzagate and the Epstein files and everything else that we're going to get to see now. And it's going to be ugly. And I think somewhere in this, between diplomatic strategy, diplomatic maneuvering between Iran, Russia, and China, juxtaposed to then maneuvering into position to the great never to be outsmarted Israelis, is that something's happened here. Something has happened. Either somebody has more of something on Donald Trump than Israel does, or whatever Israel had has now been mitigated to where either Donald Trump doesn't care anymore,
right,
or he realizes it was a bluff, or something. It was a fugazi that they had on him the whole time. And now he's like, all right, now the 2016 MAGA Trump is coming out, like America first, the asshole Trump, right? So maybe that's it. I don't know. But if the average American cannot recognize this shift in the tone of foreign policy towards Israel in just the last 24 hours, then you're sleeping. And if you don't think it's real, if you're an Israeli and or a Zionist and you're like, oh, this isn't, they need, what was the Israeli who was the former prime minister who's now running again to unseat Netanyahu, who's just as bad as him, if not worse.
Oh, you're talking about
the bald-headed guy.
Naftali.
What was? Yes. What did he just say? He just said about this, America, you better watch out.